My name is Felicia Dunson. I go by FDZ Graffiti. I am a local artist, born and raised here in Columbus, Ohio. And my art style is a graffiti pop art.
My name is Terry Norman. I'm an artist from Columbus.
That's always a complicated, kind of like a loaded question because there wasn't really a beginning for me when it comes to artistry. I really was an artistic child, and I started exhibiting artwork with the help of my mentors when I was in elementary school. But I think I really started to understand that I was an artist when I was like in middle school. And I started to be very intentional about what I was doing. I kind of was finding out these things by accident, like graffiti, for example. That wasn't my intention. I was planning on going to school to be a fashion designer and fine arts, but graffiti was just always something that kind of like naturally came from me. And I just think that coincides with when you're of the culture, you have that expression, that hip hop expression.
My art started when being an artist started when I was like 10 or 11. My mom noticed that I was able to draw things that I looked at. And she took me to take a test at CCAD for a summer program for kids. And I won 2 art scholarships and kind of got a start in different mediums then at a young age. And then pretty much from there, I've always drawn on the side. That's something I've always done, was kind of drew things that I looked at and saw. And kind of grew from there. Wasn't nothing that I really pursued a career in, as far as, I didn't look at it like I was going to be an artist one day or anything like that. I have my family is an art background. I have my uncle are painters, my mom's an author. And, so the art was always around me, stuff that I could always look at and see. It was something I enjoyed doing. But coming out of high school, I started working. I would still draw on the side from time to time, here and there. That was just a hobby for me. It was a way for me to relax. Later on, I always wanted to know how to draw portraits. So I kind of practiced, and we live in a day and age of technology. So did a lot of research, read a lot of books, looked at a lot of YouTube videos, and kind of just worked on it more and more. And I got a hold of some charcoal one day and did a picture in charcoal. We sat back, a couple of my friends really support the artwork that I do. We just kind of looked at it and they were like, wow, this looks like a portrait. It looks like a photograph. So it just kind of went from there, and I kept doing them and more, teaching myself more. So that's about
it. Wow, Columbus art culture. That's different. Like in a word? In a word, it's colorful. In a word, it's colorful. I mean, there's so many talented people here in Columbus, just from different walks of life, but I think at the same level of exposure and the same level of appreciation. It's something that I've always indulged and engaged in, from the gallery hops and now having my studio here in Franklinton. It is definitely like the pulse of the city.
Columbus's art culture. I think people can you can drive around the city and see that it's a city that really supports art. Not only do we have a big art college here, but I think the areas, if you go down High Street, Short North, you have the art district there. You can even ride down Livingston or Main Street and see the artwork that's in the communities themselves, the Lincoln District and stuff like that. So I think it's something that, the Cultural Arts Center that's down here also, Franklinton, it's just a city that I feel like a lot of artists come from. Then there's a lot of artists in the city.
Definitely, it's my hometown. It's my hometown. I'm inspired by other artists. I'm inspired by the music. I'm inspired by sort of like the subcultures that we have. The Short North has always been one of my favorite parts of the city. And I grew up here on the west side. So I watched Franklinton evolve into what it is now. And it's just been really awesome to be a part of the process and to be a staple in the community.
Creativity, well, just like kind of like I said, riding around, being able to look at the artworks that's on display out, that's always something to kind of push you creative wise. But I think that the people that I've met through the process have been, I've met a lot of artists since I started showing my artwork, a lot of different creative people in all different kind of forms, and that pushes you to do a little more. You got people around you that are creative in their own ways. They help out with your creative process because it gets you thinking and your mind churning a little bit. You just kind of want to make something. I'm a real hands-on person, so it's a lot of things I kind of put my own artistic touch to.
That's hard. It's really hard to kind of like decide which one is your favorite. It's like choosing a favorite child. Right? So I think it's more about my favorite would have to be my favorite experience or my favorite process. And there was a mural I did at the Columbus Aquatic Center, and I grew up there. I used to work there as a lifeguard. Actually doing the front desk there now, just because it's a place that's really close, near and dear to my heart. And so I did a big ocean underwater mural piece there that was also featured in the Broaden High WSU documentary. So I'm really proud of that. So I think that one's kind of like a shoe-in for the favorite.
I couldn't select just one piece and say that it was my favorite. One that really makes me feel special for the type of art that I do would be the Richard Pryor picture that I did. It became a mural. I was selected by Marcia Evans Gallery, and it became a mural. And to see the amount of people that took pictures in front of that mural and the smiles that, from kids to every age range to every race, it was something that was special to me, and that's something I always remember. So it's one of my favorites, but I don't have one favorite.
Wow, The Color of Summer, I think it's really uplifting. It's inspiring that there are opportunities and that there are platforms for artists like me where they want you to come into these spaces. The formality of being able to display your work in the Columbus Art Museum is just something that I didn't think would happen anytime close in my lifetime. I didn't think that I would have the opportunity to do that. So I think it's really great. It's very important that we have opportunities like that to be more diverse in exposure in formal places like the Columbus Art Museum.
The Color of Summer, I was in the last Color of Summer, and I really enjoyed the experience. To see that, the different singers and artists and poets, the amount of people, the creativity that was there, let alone that it was inside the museum, I think is a really special event for the city.
I think diversity is important for the entire community because you have to acknowledge and be aware of who's in your community. Well, you won't know that unless you give opportunities to open up these doors, unless you invite people to the table. I think it's absolutely essential that we do that not only in the arts, but in other ways, just in your day-to-day lives as well.
I think the people over First Fridays in the Color of Summer opening up their doors to let some of the creative people from Columbus be part of that. Not all of us, I don't know of very many, period, that has work inside the museum. So to be able to show your work inside the museum is a great thing. And them sharing their platform and letting artists and different creative people who might not get as much, recognition as other artists do, I think it's a great thing. It's great. I tell people all the time about it, come in and be a part of this. You're not going to be able to experience this any other time unless you become a super artist to be able to get your artwork on the walls.
You guys can find me here, 400 West Rich Street, Studio 158. We have Franklinton Fridays, which is the second Friday of every month. So I'm always here with an open studio. You guys can follow me on Instagram at fdzgraffiti.com. And where else am I? On all social media. As soon as you put in the FDZ, it'll pop up. Just for public information, you spell graffiti with 2 F's and 1 T. I know there's like a misconception about that.
People can follow me on Instagram at tnorm10. That's TNORM10. Or they can follow me on Facebook at Terry. I'm also Terry Norm.